Caitlin Clark's Olympic snub led to a reminder text from her old coach Reese, shortly after she found out last month that she'd been left off the U.S. Olympic women's basketball team roster. Caitlin Clark received a text from her high school coach. Kristen Meyer wanted to remind Clark how she responded the last time anyone dared tell her she wasn't good enough. In May 2018, as Clark was finishing her sophomore year of high school, she flew to Colorado Springs to try out for the U.S. U17 World Cup team. Clark expected to make the cut since she had been a rotation player on the team that helped the U.S. qualify for the U17 World Cup the previous summer. In those days, Clark wasn't yet inundated with autograph requests, social media followers, or endorsement deals, but glimpses of her now familiar splashy game were already visible. Here was this wisp of a girl bombing long-range threes, whipping high-risk passes through traffic and shaking defenders in transition with behind-the-back dribbles. Meyer remembers thinking Clark played well during tryouts, but the USA Basketball Youth Selection Committee had a wealth of future college stars to pick from. 8 of the 12 players from the previous year's U16 team made the cut. Clark was the highest-ranked prospect of the 4 that the committee chose not to bring back. She actually broke her pinky early in the tryouts, but I don't think that was necessarily the determining factor. Meyer told Yahoo Sports, "There were just some players that I guess the committee thought played better." At the same time that the likes of Haley Jones, Paige Bueckers, and Aaliyah Boston began preparing to lead the US U17 World Cup team to a gold medal in Belarus, Clark returned home to Des Moines, Iowa, to work on her craft. The embarrassment of getting cut and the realization that there were other players ahead of her inspired Clark to keep searching for ways to improve instead of coasting on her talent. She always worked hard and loved being in the gym, but there was a different level of maturity to her that summer. Meyer said, "She just had this kind of locked-in attitude when she was in the gym. She was really driven to get better." Between the end of tryouts and the start of her junior season, Clark made a big leap. All the key elements of her game became sharper, Meyer said, from her handle, to her decisions with the ball in her hands, to her shooting percentages at all 3 levels. Caitlin 1.0 might go for an unnecessarily risky no-look pass or rise and fire from 27 feet early in the shot clock. Caitlin 2.0 resisted that temptation more often and became more efficient when she did attempt an audacious play. Caitlin 1.0 might stomp away or throw her hands up in frustration if a referee botched a call or if a pinpoint pass ricocheted off the hands of an unsuspecting teammate. Caitlin 2.0 was still a heart-on-her-sleeve competitor. She just started to understand how her body language and temperament affected those around her. At the end of her junior year at Dowling Catholic, Clark was among the youngest players invited to try out for the team that would represent the U.S. at the U19 World Championships in Bangkok later that summer. At 17, Clark made a star-laden roster headlined by Rhyne Howard, Bueckers, and Boston, though Clark averaged a modest 14.7 minutes in 7 games in Bangkok. Coach Jeff Walz showed faith in her with the U.S. trailing by 3 in the final minute of the gold medal game against Australia. Walz called upon Clark to shoot free throws after an Australian player's elbow struck Howard in the nose, temporarily forcing her out of the game. 2 years later, after Clark averaged 26.6 points per game as a freshman at UWA, she was an obvious choice to make the 2021 version of the US U19 World Championship team. This time, she guided the U.S. to a 7-0 record, averaged a team-best 14.3 points and 5.6 assists, and earned tournament MVP honors. For the next 3 years, Clark went from basketball famous to famous as she led UWA to a pair of title game appearances, and the world awakened to her incandescent talent. The size of her stage expanded with every logo three-pointer, every YouTube-worthy assist, every brazen behind-the-back dribble, and every Jordan shrug. Fans who previously didn't follow women's sports huddled in front of their living room TVs and packed arenas to watch Clark play. Sports Debate shows that previously ignored women's basketball devoted segment after segment to Clark's trash talk and scoring exploits.